We've all seen a perfect mark sheet, right? But is that really what success looks like? Today, we're going to look beyond the grades, way beyond, to talk about the 7 skills that actually get a kid ready for the real world.
So, just think about this for a second. What if school was less about memorizing dates and formulas and more about, life, like how to be resilient, how to be creative, how to handle your money? That one question right there, it points to this huge gap in how we teach our kids.
Okay, to really see what I'm talking about, let's picture this. You're at a graduation ceremony. The principal gets up on stage, to give that big final speech. And she kicks things off with a pretty standard school question. And of course, what happens? Hands fly up everywhere. I mean, these are the top students, right? They're feeling good. They know their stuff. They aced the exam.
But then she throws a curveball. She completely changes direction. She's not asking about textbook problems anymore. Now she's asking about, life. The stuff that's waiting for them the second they walk out those doors.
And crickets. The room goes quiet. Out of all those brilliant students, only 2 people keep their hands up. And listen, this isn't just some cute story. This is basically a diagnosis. It shows us exactly what's wrong.
So this right here, this is what we're calling the education gap. On one hand, schools are fantastic at prepping kids for exams, get high marks, memorize facts, pass the test. But on the other hand, we are seriously dropping the ball on the skills for life, like how to actually use what you know, how to get through tough times, and, how to win at life itself.
All right, so how do we fix this? Here's our game plan. First, we'll look a little closer at this gap. Then we're going to break down a new way of thinking based on 3 main pillars. And finally, we'll completely rethink what a report card should even be. Okay, first up. We've seen that disconnect, right? The gap between what you learn in class and what you need in the real world. We know grades aren't the whole story. So, what is?
This brings us to our first pillar, creating and leading. The big idea here is to shift kids from just sitting there and taking in information to actually getting up and creating things and learning how to lead others.
And this whole pillar is really about 2 key things. First up is entrepreneurship, which is really just a fancy word for learning how to spot a problem and then actually build something to fix it. And second, leadership. Not being a boss, but inspiring people to work together on something cool. And this isn't just theory. It can be super practical. Check this out. In Bangalore, some students were given just 500 rupees and told, go start a business. One group decided to make eco-friendly bookmarks, and get this, in 2 weeks they turned that 500 rupees into 4,000. I guarantee you they learned more about business in those 2 weeks than they would have from a whole year of reading a textbook.
And when we talk about leadership, we're not talking about being the person in charge who just barks orders. It's about empowering others. Think about MS Dhoni in that 2007 World Cup final. He handed the ball to a junior player for the last, most crucial over. That wasn't just a risky move. It was a masterclass in leadership. It was about trusting your team when everything's on the line.
The great thing is, you don't have to totally blow up the school system to do this. You can do simple things, like rotate who gets to be class leader each week, so even the quiet kids get a shot. Or host a Shark Tank for kids, so they can practice pitching their ideas. These seem like small things, but trust me, the impact is huge.
All right, moving on to our second pillar, thriving personally. So, after you learn to lead others, the focus kind of turns inward. These are the skills you need not just to get a good job, but to actually live a good life, one that's stable, healthy, and happy.
And this pillar really stands on 2 legs. The first one is health and well-being. I mean, being mentally tough and resilient is absolutely non-negotiable these days. And the second one? Financial literacy. Because, let's be real, knowing how money works is one of the most basic life skills there is.
For example, there was this school in Mumbai that actually put yoga and journaling on the official timetable. And the result? A 60% drop, 60, in students missing school because of anxiety. I mean, wow. That's not just a nice story, that's powerful data. Okay, now for that second skill, money. Let me ask you something. Just take a wild guess. What percentage of adults in India just don't get the basics of finance?
The answer is a staggering 76%, according to an S&P Global report. Just let that sink in for a second. That's more than 3 out of every 4 adults who can't make smart, informed decisions about their own money. This is a huge crisis, and it all starts in our schools, where talking about money is somehow still a taboo.
So what's the fix? Well, it can be surprisingly simple. You could give students a fake salary for the month.
Then give them a list of real-world bills, rent, groceries, you name it, and tell them to make a budget. Just letting them struggle with it for a bit, man, that's an eye-opening lesson that no textbook could ever come close to teaching.
And that brings us to our third and final pillar, building the future. This one is all about looking ahead. It's about giving kids the tools they need to not just survive in the future, but to actually be the ones who build it.
So this covers 3 really important areas. First, exploring all kinds of careers, not just the usual doctor-engineer route. Second, learning how to use technology to actually build solutions, not just scroll through apps. And third, sustainability, understanding that we've got a responsibility to take care of our planet. And look, teaching tech isn't just about getting a coding job. It's about solving real-world problems. In Kerala, for example, a school coding club didn't build some silly game. No, they built a flood warning app, an app that was actually used during the massive 2018 floods and literally helped save lives. Now that is what you call impact.
And you don't have to be some big shot to make a difference either. Get this, a 12-year-old in Pune just started a small campaign in her school to ban plastic straws. That one simple idea caught on, and it spread from her school to cafes all over her neighborhood. A single person, a single idea, and a real, tangible change.
So, once we start teaching all these skills, we've got to ask ourselves, how do we measure success? Because the old school report card, it's pretty much useless for this.
Yeah, the new report card shouldn't be asking, what grade did you get in physics? It needs to be asking questions that show what you can actually do. You know, questions like, this is what we should be asking. This is the report card of tomorrow. Can you lead a team? Can you manage your own money? Can you stay cool under pressure? Can you build something that helps your community? These are the questions that matter at the moment you step out of school.
Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't just need more people who can top exams. It needs problem solvers, it needs creators, it needs leaders, it needs people who are resilient and who care about others. The whole transformation has to start right there, in our classrooms. So I guess the only question left is, are we brave enough to change the test?